to all. I welcome you all to this session number 12 of day 4 of the FDP on innovative teaching learning methods. It is an honor for me to introduce you to this session's distinguished speaker, Dr. Namdev V. Kalyankar. Dr. Kalyankar has started his teaching career at Yeshwant Mahavidyalaya Nanded in the year 1980 and then served as the principal of the same institution from 2003. He has also performed his duties as the chairman of NACPEER team for the accreditation of more than 60 colleges and universities all over India. He also discharged his duties as a member of Senate, member of Management Council, and member of Board of Studies of Computer Sciences of universities all over Maharashtra. Dr. Kalyankar served as the first regular Vice Chancellor of Gondwana University, Gadchiroli from 2015, and during his tenure, the university received 12B certification from the UGC. He has the credit of publishing more than 78 research papers. He has also organized 5 international conferences, 4 at Yeshwant Mahavidyalaya Nanded and 1 at Gondwana University. He has also presented his research papers in international conferences held at various countries like Singapore, USA, UK, Hungary, and Switzerland. He has completed 2 major research projects sponsored by UGC. He is also the recipient of Best Principal Award of SRTM University Nanded in the year 2009 and also bagged the Best Teacher Award from Government of Maharashtra in the year 2010. He has been appointed by the Government of Maharashtra as the member of committee for the establishment of Tribal Museum at Nagpur and many more contributions and recognitions to his credit. With this brief introduction, I welcome you, Dr. N.V. Kalyankar, sir, the speaker of this session. Sir, we are really blessed and are grateful to have you here with us. Dr. Kalyankar is going to deliver a talk on the topic New Education Policy 2020. Sir, now I request you to take over the charge and address the gathering. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, madam.
Hello, sir.
Hello. Just I'm sharing the screen.
Yes, sir.
Good morning to, good noon to one and all. Hello.
Good noon, sir. It's visible, sir.
Yes, it is visible, sir.
I think Dr. Bichkar might be there in the session. The principal of the college, coordinator of the FDP program, members of this workshop, participants, ladies and gentlemen. Let me thank to the organizers for giving me an opportunity to be amongst you for this refresher course as a resource person. The organizers have given me a topic for this lecture. That is a National Education Policy 2020. At the outset, let me tell you that this is a very broad topic. I am very much doubtful how far I can be able to cover in this short span of some 90 minutes. I will try my best initially to introduce this education policy. I will throw light on some school education initially in brief, and later on the structural changes which have been suggested in this National Education Policy 2020. At the outset, let me tell that our Indian education system has a rich heritage, all of you know. In the ancient times, the education was informal. And we have a history of the universities like Nalanda, Takshashila, Vikramashila and all. In that time, the aim of education in ancient India was not just the acquisition of knowledge as a preparation for life in this world, but for the complete realization and liberation of the self. Complete realization and liberation of the self, it is philosophy of education in the ancient time. Now, present day, we know that education is a great leveler, and it is the best tool for achieving economic and social mobility, inclusion and equity or equality. But we know that after post-independent era, we have developed a formal education system. In the post-independent era, several commissions were appointed for systematic development of education, from school education to higher education. And the mandate for every commission was to suggest a quality education system with focus on historically marginalized, disappointed, and underrepresented groups from the society. Because the main objective of education is to level the people who are poorer. The education gives a chance to enlighten himself, to become rich, to become civilized. And the difference between the richest person and the poorest person can be made narrow with the help of education, providing education to one and all. The focus of every commission all education policy, including the National Education Policy of 1986, was largely on access and equity. Because we had a education policy which was introduced in 1986, and that was the policy. Later on, some modifications have been done, and in which higher education was given a due respect for restructuring for the benefit of all sections of the society. And after that, after a very long period, almost after 35 years, due attention is given to address all the issues of ethos that contributes directly to transforming India. That is which is expected in this National Education Policy 2020, that is Bharat, by way of National Education Policy 2020. Now, of course, we have a question, what is the aim of this policy, or what is the vision of this policy? The vision of the policy is to instill among the learners a deep-rooted pride in being Indian, not only in thought, but also in spirit, intellect, and deeds, as well as to develop knowledge, skills, values, and dispositions that support responsible commitment to human rights, sustainable development, and living and global well-being by reflecting a truly global citizen. Now, this is the vision of the policy. And let us see what provisions have been made in this education policy, for which we are going to come later on. As per this vision of this policy, first time after independence, revision and revamping of all the aspects of higher education, of the education structure, including its regulation and governance, to create a new center. To achieve these objectives,
Sir, you are not audible. Your audio and video have stopped working, sir.
hello.
Sir, you need to share your screen again.
Yes, sir. It is visible now.
Just one minute. Just one minute. So now we'll go for this. In the new education policy 2020, these prerequisites are listed on page number 5. I will not go in details of all these prerequisites, but few of them I will list here. The fundamental principle to guide education system and institutions are recognizing, identifying, and fostering the unique capability of each student by sensitizing teacher as well as parent to promote its students' holistic development in both academic and non-academic spheres. Second, emphasis on conceptual understanding rather than rote learning and learning for examinations. Third, life skills such as communication, cooperation, teamwork, and resilience. Outstanding research. The next is rootedness and pride in India. Education is a public service that should be emphasized in the school education, and then substantial investment in a strong, vibrant public education system. So these are the prerequisites for this new education policy. In brief, I will introduce here what are the main changes made. And I am very happy and to tell you that first time very organized structure has been suggested for school education, which was earlier, that is 10+2 structure, and it was very rigid because a student has to opt for disciplines only in the school education, that is at +2 level. This has been slightly modified, and first time emphasis is given on the students which are beyond the school regular school pattern. That is, this 10+2 pattern has been restructured as 3+2+3 or 5+3+3+4. The difference has been shown in the picture, and moreover, the students which are not earlier taken into consideration as a part of formal education, that is the students of the age group 3+2, the 3+2, that is up to the age of 5. So the first stage has been taken as in that 3+2, that is 3 years are expected to be spent by the student in Anganwadis, and it is expected that a student is prepared for entering into school in these 3 years. And as the early childhood care has been duly taken care, and in first time, a early childhood care education has been emphasized. It is expected that 80% of a child, it is known that 80% of child's cumulative brain development is between the age group of up to 6. And moreover, in order to ensure healthy brain development and growth, quality early childhood care education is not available across the across the country, and now it has been taken care for young children. This is to made universal provisioning of quality early childhood development, care and education as soon as possible and no later than 2030. Means that early childhood care education is to be provided to, and the arrangement is to be made before 2030. And it is to be ensured that all students in grade 1 are school ready by 2030. And second main objective of the school education is that foundational literacy and numeracy. The ability to read and write and perform basic operations with numbers is a necessary foundation for all future schooling and lifelong learning. Surveys indicate that we are in a learning crisis. In the policy, highest priority is given to achieve universal foundational literacy and numeracy in primary school by 2025. So these are the prerequisites in the school education. And I'm not expected to go in details. What are the structural changes have been made for school education? This is just an introduction regarding the school education, which is expected in the National Education Policy 2020. Now let us move for higher education. Madam, is there any problem regarding my communication? Hello?
No, sir.
It is okay or it should be very slow or it's okay?
Yes, sir, it is okay, but some participant, Ved Prakash, Anandarao Kalyan, please, will you, okay, sir.
If any problem, because this is a very abstract topic, let me clear at the first. And it's
No,
a
sir,
very
it
big
is
topic.
clear.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Continue, sir.
Let me introduce here that our higher education system is a very big system that is third in the world, and it is fragmented system if we think regarding the higher education. And moreover, with the progress of technology and societal requirements, the higher education system in India is facing number of problems. And therefore, I want to introduce some problems which are faced by the higher education system. The first thing is that it is a highly fragmented system. What is meant by fragmented is we have not dealt with the higher education system at a single roof. Now we know that there are some colleges which are giving only undergraduate education. There are some colleges giving undergraduate and postgraduate education. There are colleges where it is expected to undertake research. There are universities which are multidisciplinary universities, just like BHU, where their medical education, engineering education on the university campus. There are standalone universities like agricultural universities, technological universities, medical universities, in different UGC. So I want to say that there is no similar regulation. There is not a single monitoring system, and there is not a single governing system across the country to control, to give a uniform education in all corners of this big country. So therefore,
Sir, you are not audible. Please check your microphone.
due emphasis on early rigid separation of disciplines and streaming of students into narrow areas of study, that a student who has just left the school up to 10th level, when he is in the school education itself, he has to choose a discipline of line, whether he has to opt for science stream, whether he has to opt for commerce stream, whether he has to opt for social sciences subject. And it is categorizing the students and not giving liberty to study the subject of his interest. Moreover, institutions is given a very limited autonomy, because autonomy has been introduced in the Sixth Pay Commission, and the procedure and methodology for getting autonomy, and that too, a complete autonomy is not at all there in the government organizations, government colleges and all. So that is also one of the obstacles for development of the higher education. Moreover, in the present system, large affiliating universities, and which is inviting low standards of undergraduate education, because we know that there are some universities having some 600 and 700 affiliating colleges of different nature, having only arts education, only having arts and commerce education, having standalone science education. And moreover, they are spread over some 5 districts, 10 districts, which is beyond control to keep the standard of higher education. That is also a challenge in the present education. And lack of competitiveness, peer-reviewed research, and moreover, a uniform funding across all disciplines, that is also a problem in front of different higher educational institutes. The first time this National Education Policy 2020 suggests a complete overhaul and re-energizing of the higher education system to remove these challenges before present education system and deliver high quality higher education with equity and inclusion. This is the ambitious vision of this policy. And in this policy, following key changes are suggested. So I will enlist one by one. That is the foremost change that has been suggested is one, moving towards a higher education system consisting of large multidisciplinary universities and colleges with at least one in, and colleges with at least one in or near every district offering programs in local/Indian languages. So this is a very ambitious suggestion or recommendation of the New Education Policy 2020. multidisciplinary university near or in every district across the countries, across the country, then you can imagine how ambitious plan it is. At present, I think we are, in all there are some 1,000 universities in the country, 1,000 and odd universities in the country. And if you imagine one multidisciplinary university, not just like a technical university or agriculture university or a medical university to university, a multidisciplinary means giving education to in all disciplines of education. So this is one. Second, moving towards a more multidisciplinary undergraduate education. Moving towards a more multidisciplinary undergraduate education. Now you know that at present there are so colleges imparting BA degree are there a lot in number. Colleges imparting just BSc degree are there in there, or BA BSc degree imparting colleges are there. Instead of this, it is suggested that if at all there is a college, in that there should be a provision of for learning a student in arts, commerce, medical education, agriculture university, that there should be a flexibility of disciplines and it should be made available in every institute of higher education. Second, moving towards a institutional autonomy. Every institution in this country which is imparting or giving higher education should have both academic and financial and administrative autonomy. This is also a very ambitious goal of this National Education Policy 2020. Fourth, appointment of faculty on the basis of merit and career progression based on teaching, research and service to reaffirming the integrity of faculty. Now we have many problems faced by both, that is institutes of the management of the Institute of Higher Education, then administration of Institute of Higher Education, and the learners and other stakeholders, that is the faculty. There are different methods of recruiting the faculty in affiliated system of education. There are different norms and ways of appointing faculty in the university departments, and there are different standards and the methods for appointing the faculties in the national institutes. There should be a uniform criteria for selection of teachers, and moreover, affirming them an environment for giving a quality services of faculty in the higher education. That type of arrangement has been suggested in this new education policy. Next is establishment of a national research foundation for catalyzing quality research in all fields. Now, in the 7th Pay Commission, UGC has taken, because at present we have a single funding as well as monitoring and regulatory system of higher education in India, that is the UGC. And the funds which are allocated to the research, they are not sufficient and not utilized for the cause. That is the scenario across the country. So in this education policy, it has been suggested that a single funding agency for quality research has been suggested. Moreover, next is regulation by a single regulator for higher education. Across the country, there should be a single regulator of higher education. Which degree you want to introduce? What should be the standard? What should be the criteria for opening a college? What should be the faculty strength? What should be the students and faculty ratio? That all has been regulated by a single regulated system. The next is increased access, equality and inclusion through a range of measures that for every thing I will be independently discussing in detail. Next is technology use and integration. Now you know that technology in education and educational technology, they are by each things with the invention of technology, and using the technology we are developing a technology. So a due emphasis has been given for use of technology, and a system has been suggested in this new education policy 2020 for technology use in it and its integration with the education. And next is regulation, accreditation, funding and academic standard setting will be performed by independent bodies. That is, accreditation of all educational higher educational institutions across the country, it will be done by a single accreditation council. There will be a single regulation council, and there will be a single agency for academic standards. Next is National Higher Education Regulatory Council as a sole regulator in the country. National Accreditation Council, that will be only meta accrediting body across the country. There will be a single financer, that is Higher Education Grants Council. Then General Education Council for Learning Outcomes, which is a framer, and a National Research Foundation, that is research funder. So these are the major suggestions of Higher Education Policy 2020. So for this, just to structural changes, by one I will go. I will cover 3 in the first half of our lecture, and remaining I will cover in the second part. Let us go for what major changes have been suggested. That is, as we know that there are different universities, professional, teaching, agriculture, law. Instead, a single university with all disciplines has been made a prerequisite of this education policy. And colleges are expected to be either go for just imparting degree education or degree and some research. Because our ancient Indian, you know that our ancient Indian universities like Takshashila, Nalanda, Vallabhi and Vikramshila, which were having thousands of students and from India and from world, and they were made expertise and they were made ready to face challenges of life. This is also expected in our education policy. So present colleges, present universities, they are expected to face the accreditation, graded accreditation, and based upon the graded accreditation outcomes, they have to set their goals, whether they want to remain as a degree giving colleges in different disciplines, or whether they want to go for intensive research education, and that can be achieved from the graded accreditation. So let us move for how these institutions are going to be changed in due course of time as per the new education policy. It has been suggested that this affiliating system of higher education across the country is to be phased out. That is, phasing out affiliation system in coming 15 years. There will not be a university having affiliated colleges in numbers. Either every college which is affiliated to the university will be made autonomous, granting just a undergraduate education, or a college autonomous will be affiliated will be autonomous, UG and
Sir, you are not audible. Your voice has stopped.
hello. Hello.
Hello, sir.
Hello. Any problem, madam?
Hello, sir.
Any problem, madam? Hello.
I think your audio was not clear. We were not able to hear you.
I think, madam, his sir's internet may be unstable. He may start with without a video. Then it will be possible to hear clearly.
Yes, sir.
Sir, you can start without video, sir. That will be better. Kalyankar, sir.
I think he is not able to hear us. Sir, are we audible? Kalyankar, sir?
Kalyankar sir, your mic is off. Please unmute yourself.
And your presentation is also. Sir, you are not audible.
Sir, your mic is unmute.
So please unmute yourself. Sir, we are not able to hear you. Please unmute.
Sir, you can video off, sir, because from your side there is connectivity issue, I think so. We are not able to hear you, sir.
So please unmute yourself.
Unmute yourself, sir.
Please check whether you have muted yourself. Yes, I think now you're.
Okay.
Yes, sir. You can stop your video, sir. If you stop your video, your internet connectivity will be more with the presentation.
I will do it. Now, whether I am audible now?
Yes, yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please, sir.
You can present your screen, sir.
Yes, sir. Your screen is visible, sir.
Okay. Now everything is okay.
Yes, sir. Yes.
So just out. So there will be a national mission on mentoring. So in the new education policy, it has been suggested that there will be a mentoring system which will be developed, which will guide to institutions of higher education regarding the goals which are set up by the institutions, then mentoring regarding the quality of higher education, regarding the funding, for everything there will be a mentoring system which will be developed in due course of time. Second, independent board of governance. Now once the institution has become autonomous, because now 95% higher education institutions are in the affiliating system. So once every institution will become autonomous, the board of governance of that autonomous institution will get a right to develop their institutions as per their goal set. And next is single regulator for higher education, excluding legal and medical education. That is also has been suggested. And how it will be working, it is regarding what type of education a particular institution can give, what are the prerequisites to set up a higher education of a institution of higher education is to be started, what permissions are required, what documentation is required, and once that institution has got a permission, that will be automatically a autonomous institution. And for that, the next point is online self-disclosure based transparent system for approvals in place of inspections. Now what is there? What is the system at present? If we want to introduce one new course in a particular undergraduate college, one faculty in a particular undergraduate college, or if any society, any trust want to start a technical institution or a multi-faculty college in the particular place, it has to apply at several places. First of all, he has to approach to the university, then the state government, and then approval is granted for procedure where to approach to the UGC, and then that particular institution gets funding for a library, development of infrastructure, for research grants. This has to be phased out. Once that institution, that society has shown the willingness to start a institution of higher education, transparently it can approach to a regulator and get the permission, and there will be further inspections for whether you have that permission or not. So this inspection system has been phased out. It is expected to be phased out in this new education policy. Next is common norms for public and private higher education institutions. This is very important because we know that we have three-tier system. That is, there are some institutions of higher education which are permitted and funded by central government. That is they come under MHRD directly. There are some state government institutions which are permissions are granted by state governments and funded and regulated by state governments. That is the government colleges, government universities, and there are some colleges run by the private trust societies, and for them there are different norms. It is expected that this is also going to be ended in this new education policy 2020. What are these common norms? Because nowadays there are some norms. If you want to start a college in the rural area, a college in the metros, so norms for opening a college institution regarding the infrastructure, regarding the land, regarding the appointment faculty, regarding the facilities, that is requirement of laboratories, requirement of the classrooms and all. So there will be a uniform norms for opening of college, opening of university. That may be a private university, that may be a government university. So this is also expected in this new policy of, that is National Education Policy 2020. Now, one more thing, that is a private philanthropic partnership. Now PPP model is there in the government departments. Now you know that for development of roads, development of some huge projects of central government, some projects of state government, this public-private partnership model has been suggested, and it is working good. Ambitious projects have been developed, and it has been proved successfully. The same pattern has been suggested for development of higher education in this country, that is a PPP model for development of new higher education institutions. That may be a multidisciplinary university, that may be a multi-faculty college giving technical education, giving medical education, or giving multidisciplinary education, and that is also a very good thing of this policy. There will be a fee fixation within broad regulatory framework. That is also suggested in this new education policy. It means that depending upon, now there is a fee fixation committees or some systems in different states for technical educations, that is medical and engineering education, but it is not there for other disciplines. It has been suggested that there will be a regular fee fixation board, and that will work for entire country. So this is a broad suggestions in this new, that is National Education Policy 2020. Now I will go in detail one by one how this phasing of phasing out of affiliation system in 15 years is expected to be done, and what are the changes are expected. I think we'll go for it after 5 minutes of break. Before that, let me ask whether are you facing some problems of audibility, or whether I am going fast, or some things regarding the clarity. One thing I want at the outset, let me accept as being a very vast topic. In brief, I am throwing light on few important aspects. If at all some problems are there in this some 45 minutes of talk I have delivered, and if you want to ask questions altogether at the end of my lecture, depends upon. But I think we will go for 5 minutes of break. Madam Sajjan, if I have any problem, let me ask.
No, sir, no. You can take, all of us can take 5 minutes break. You are clearly audible, sir, and your presentation is also visible now. So your voice is not breaking now. And your pace is also okay, sir.
I'm audible.
Yes, sir. You are audible, and your speed or pace is also okay.
Okay. So this undergraduate degree and this changes which are expected will go after 5 minutes, right?
Sure, sir.
Let us have a break. Undergraduate degree will be of either 3 or 4 years duration. In some disciplines, it will be of 3 years, and in some disciplines, that is technological, it will be of 4 years. Multiple exit options and appropriate certifications, academics earned from recognized can be awarded, taking into account credits earned. This is a major change which is there in some universities which has been choice-based education system has been adopted in some universities. That is, if a student has taken admission for some degree and has carried out that education for 2 years,
Sir, you are not audible.
and from another discipline, I am not audible.
Now it is okay, sir. Now it's okay.
Okay, I think, madam, some network problem is there.
Yes, sir. We do understand. Please continue, sir.
So after a gap of 3-4 years, again he on the how many credits he has earned in that 2 years, and they are coupled or added with some other credits, and appropriately a degree will be awarded to that particular student. So this is the facility which will be extended to all educations of higher education or deposition of credits. Suppose a particular student has earned some credit of some particular subject, and that degree is of some 150, has a choice of selecting some subjects from different disciplines, and these credits are deposited. There will be a bank of credits, and appropriately he will be getting either a degree of 3 years or a postgraduate degree, depending upon. So that pattern will be there across the country. That is the major suggestion of this implementation, and it will be implemented. Setting up of new quality higher education institutions will be made easier. That is a very important thing. Now, being in the higher education system in last 40 years, I worked as a teacher in the education system, then the administrator, then a principal of a college, and then the vice chancellor of a university. I have gone through all for getting some permissions for some additional subjects or some degree course. Being a principal in the college, we have started some new colleges in the trust, and being a vice chancellor, I was instrumental in giving permission for opening of colleges in rural areas. Where from these permissions are to be taken, then we have to go to the university, then the state government, and then all this. So there will be a single regulator, and it is expected that setting a new quality institution, for you have to approach only one agency, submit all transfer documents, and you are will be getting the permission to start a education of institution of higher education. Next is higher education institution performing exceptionally well will be helped by the government to expand their institutions. Means government will be ready to help the institutions if they are accredited and got some score of accreditation to a certain level, and it will be a graded accreditation depending upon state governments and central government will be giving grants or funds for development of infrastructure, development of research facilities, then recruitment of faculty, for giving some funding for books and all, purchase of books and all. So this is also a major thing, public, that I think I have thrown light on this public philanthropic partnership earlier only. I will not go in details of that here. What is expected? Around 30-35%. It is expected that this will reach to 50% by 2035. So how this will be achieved, that we are going to come later on. That I will explain in detail later on. Then next is holistic and multidisciplinary education, flexibility of subjects. That is multiple entry and multiple exit. This I have in the earlier slide only I have explained. PG degree will be of 1 or 2 years. That will be a major thing. And integrated 5 years bachelor's degree. That is a main thing which has been suggested, because we know that our universities are expected to give the education, postgraduate education and the research. There are few universities those who have introduced the undergraduate degree courses as well. And these integrated courses have also been introduced in some universities, but by and large, universities are expected to deliver education, postgraduate education and research, and colleges are expected to give undergraduate education. This picture, this scenario is expected to be abolished or changed, and there will be a uniform pattern across the country of the institutes of higher education. And major thing which has been suggested in this policy is MPhil hereinafter. Next is establishing converting public universities for holistic and multidisciplinary education at par with IITs, IIMs, called Model Multidisciplinary Education and Research Universities, MIRU in short, possibly in or near every district. That is that in the structure I have suggested, and now here I will give you in detail how it will be possible. Now there are universities, government, private, undergraduate universities, deemed to be universities. Now their standard is different. What is expected now is that IITs are giving technical education, leading to BE degrees or BTech degrees or MTech degrees. IIMs are giving the management education. These are the central institutes. There are universities, that is agriculture university. There are medical universities. There are multidisciplinary universities like Pune University, Mumbai University and all. Now it is expected that these universities, they should not be like standalone universities, but they slowly start other disciplines. A university which is an agriculture university, which should not only go for a degree in agriculture, but it is possible for a student who has opted for a major discipline to undergo or able to learn some subject of social sciences, some subject of sciences, some subject of engineering, some computer education, so that gradually a agricultural university will become a multidisciplinary university, imparting multidisciplinary education and performing research in all disciplines, or it become a MERU. Definitely it has to expand. It has to start some disciplines, some faculties, recruit the teachers, so that a student will not only able to pursue his education in agriculture, but agriculture university will become a MERU. A IIT will become a MERU. Pune University will become a MERU because because earlier medical and technical education was also expected to be governed, monitored by Pune University, Mumbai University. So naturally this will expand and it will increase the intake as well, and naturally it will help in increasing your GEA. So this is expected in National Education Policy, New Education Policy 2020. Now credit transfer and academic bank of credit, that I have explained already. Now this is a very important thing, that is graded autonomy, academic, administrative and financial to all institutes of higher education is expected, and how it will be achieved, that I will explain. For graded transparent system of graded accreditation is supposed to be established, and colleges will be encouraged, mentored, supported and sensitized to gradually attain the minimum benchmark required for each level of accreditation over a period of time. This is very important. It is expected that every college would develop into itself either an autonomous degree granting college or a constituent college of a university, which will be fully a part of the university later on. Means what? A college which is affiliated right now undergo a accreditation, and after getting some accreditation will become a autonomous degree granting college, which is a affiliated college, or it will become a constituent college of that university. Means if there are some 200 colleges in a particular university in the affiliated system, so of that after that 200 colleges, some 100 may become autonomous college giving degree education, and some 100 college they become the constituent college of that university. Means part and parcel of the university itself. So this affiliating system, abolishing this affiliating system, this will be the methodology. With appropriate accreditations, autonomous degree colleges evolve into research incentive or teaching incentive universities at par with cities, and depending upon their accreditation score. These three broad categorization of institutes, it is not rigid. Now you may call, if a degree granting college is not going for research or is not going to become a constituent college of the university, but these three categories, they can interchange themselves, but will have the autonomy and freedom to move gradually from one category to another based upon their plans, actions, and effectiveness. If then they become the marker for these categories of institutions will be the focus of their goals and work. Whether that is a just degree granting college depends upon their work, and for that it is expected that these colleges, they should support to the school education. Means that there will be an integration, there will be a link, because in the school education it has been expected that this +2 level is there, and it has been abolished, and it has been merged between in the school education, that is 9 to 12. And here it is expected that a student can opt any education, any discipline of his liking in school itself, and he will be ready either for technical education, for professional education. His mindset will be ready, whether he is going for a professional degree, that is a technical degree, or a undergraduate science course. There should be a link, there should be a exchange between this school and a degree granting college, and the colleges will be given an additional responsibility that they should support these schools in their nearby area. Now this I have covered. Next will be internalization of higher education. That is a very big topic. I will not uh, go in details of internationalization of education, but this public investment in education sector to reach 6% of GDP at the earliest. This is also a policy that is, it is expected by the National Education Policy 2022, but whether it will be implemented like this and the success will depend upon how we are pouring funds in the higher education. Earlier, in the earlier education policy also, it was expected that more funds are to be poured by the central government in the higher education, but it unfortunately it has not happened. Let us hope that in future the central government and the state governments, they will fund to the higher education as per the requirement and percent of their GDP. And it is also expected that there is an integration of vocational, teacher and professional education. But I will go in some details of few other aspects. Another thing is that special educational zones for disadvantaged group regions are also expected. Then National Institute for Pali and Persian and Prakrit education is also, language education is also suggested in this new national education policy. And another is National Educational Technology Forum. That is, I am going to come for detail later on. And this MHRD, Ministry of Human Resource Development, to be renamed as Ministry of Education. So these are the major changes which are suggested. Now I will go for this graded autonomy. How it is suggested and that we have discussed earlier. I'm not going for that as well here. I'm going for use of technology. It is expected that there should be education planning, teaching, learning and assessment. It is expected that technology use should be there in administration as well as in the management. It should be there for technology should be used for self-disclosure and minimum human interface. That this technology should be used for increased access for disadvantaged groups. There should be a technology used for Divan-friendly education software development. We should develop e-contents in regional languages. Then setting up of virtual labs is also expected, and National Educational Technology Forum is to be expected, and digital equipping schools, teachers and students. So just I will explain here, that is how we are going to move towards achieving this expectation of use of technology as per the National Education Policy 2020. Because we know that it is understood now, India is a global leader in information communication technology. I will not quote this that we have achieved it 100%, but in last decade, sufficient progress we have done in using the information communication technology for higher education. Now let us see that today we are organizing this webinar or this FDP program, and I am communicating with you by use of this technology. But whether this is robust, whether this is now used in all, used by all stakeholders of education, if you ask this question, then I will say that no. Our progress, our achievement is there, but it is not sufficient. We have to develop ourselves, and a robust system is required to be developed. And it should be handy, it should be user friendly, it is expected to be achievable by everybody, and for that a campaign is required. We have undergone a Digital India campaign, and which is helping to transform the entire nation into a digitally empowered society and knowledge economy. It is helping. But if you ask a question whether it has been achieved and it is hand used by everybody of the society, then that is a big question. Technology will play an important role in the improvement of educational process and the outcomes of educational process, because now I am using this educational technology, I am delivering a lecture on this National Education Policy 2020, but I am not able to assess whether it is expected, what outcomes are coming, whether everybody is understanding. And if it is a classroom, I am teaching to a student in 9th class, 10th class, or undergraduate student, the outcomes, that is learning outcomes, whether we have any system to assess the learning outcomes. We have developed certain models. Noodle is a model, or some models are there by which we can ask the question. Students can answer. There are some tools, that is Google Meet, that is also some tools have been developed. Some schools are using them, their own indigenous models are developing. But still, I think we are in a primitive stage. A lot of things we have to develop. And for that, due emphasis is given in National Education Policy 2020. The relation between technology and education is bidirectional. If you develop some technology to assist the educational process, that is teaching learning process, which will involve some technology, some innovations will take place, and that technology again will become helpful for delivering the or undergoing teaching learning process for a innovative process. So this is a bidirectional thing. The technology will impact education in multiple ways, only some of which can be foreseen at the present time. Now, we are foreseeing some certain things, that a person who is sitting here in Nanded is delivering lecture and we are learning. So there are so many by artificial intelligence, some systems are evolving, and that is useful. New technologies involving machine learning, blockchains, smart boards, handheld computers, devices, and education softwares and hardwares will change the student learning in classroom and how to learn in the different methods. And I think a lot of research is required in this area. And autonomous body an autonomous body, that is the National Education Technology Forum, is created. It is expected to be created and provide a platform for the free exchange of ideas on the use of technology to enhance learning, assessment, planning, and administration. And I think this can be achieved by use of technology, and which has been suggested. And due emphasis will be given for development of this in due course of time. And what is the function? The function of this NETF, that is National Education Technology Forum, the function is provide independent evidence-based advice to control and state governments, control and state governments agencies on technology-based interventions. So the function is to provide independent evidence-based advice to control and state governments agencies on technology-based interventions. What interventions are expected to be done for higher educational institutes, for delivering educational, that is teaching learning system, innovations, and use of technology. So that is also been suggested. Now these are all different recommendations, rather suggestions of this national education policy. Now the big challenge in front of us is how to implement this. And what is the overall target? The implementation of National Education Policy 2020 is expected to be done in a synchronized and systematic manner by all stakeholders. Now, hassle is not expected, and government has given a timeline. What is to be done by 2025, what is to be done by 2030, what is to be done by 2035, and what is ultimate expectation is by 2040. Early joint review of the progress made in the implementation of the policy is to be undertaken. Evaluation of the policy and fine tuning as well as major changes, if called for, to be done by 2030. And next is comprehensive review of the policy to be undertaken after 2040. So these are the targets set by National Education Policy 2020. And I think the National Education Policy of 1989-86 and later on where child education right has been, or right of child to the education has been introduced in 2009, was also an ambitious thing, but I think in the implementation, our achievement is slightly, is not as per target, and that's why we have several challenges of higher education right now. Let us hope that everything will go smooth, government will contribute, appropriate funding, regulatory, monitoring, all systems, they will work hand in hand, and a very good standard education system will be stabilized in this continent-like country, which itself is a very big challenge in front of everybody. And let us hope that in the lifetime, our lifetime, a very robust, which is giving opportunity for development of cognitive skills, applied research, and a system which is going to provide all expectations of modern society and giving opportunities for individual, and it will help ultimately for a Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, because our philosophy of our Sanskriti is that वैश्विक कौटुंबिक आपली जी काही हे आहे त्याला ही हेल्पफुल एज्युकेशन सिस्टम डेफिनेटली डेव्हलप होईल असं आपण या ठिकाणी लेट अस होप दॅट इट विल बी अचीव्ड विथ दिस नॅशनल एज्युकेशन पॉलिसी 2020. Thank you very much. Let me thank for giving. Okay, I will later on. Let us, madam, has there any problem, or whether audience have any problem, they can ask the questions.
Sir, you switch on your camera.
Sir, it
Yes.
is on, sir. It is
Yes,
on.
yes,
It is on.
Participants.
Wait a minute, sir. Participants, if you have any questions, you can ask.
Kalankar sir, I have a question.
Yeah.
I am asking this question to you because you have already worked at the highest position in the education. Sir, till now we have 3 policies on education, like first in 1968, second in 1986, and now 2020 is the third. Please correct me if I am wrong. When we say that these policies are inclusive, highly inclusive, but in terms of education for girls, there are thousands of girls in the rural areas and remote villages who are still not in the mainstream of education system. We have various committees which we call the cream of the country for the implementation of various schemes mentioned in these policies. But these committees become corrupt, I think, or they become pessimistic in due course of time. I do not mean to sound negative here. I just want to know what are the challenges or major issues when we prepare ourselves to implement such highly inclusive policies. I just want to know your experience, sir, please.
May I know your name, please?
Sir, Anil Patil. I am Anil Patil.
Patil, your question is very appropriate, and being a administrator, policymaker, implementer, because I have gone through all roles, and as you are rightly told, there are so many education policies. You have uttered major 3, that is instead of 1968, it is 1966, that is Kothari Commission, 1986, and now this. Every policy on paper and ambition and holistic approach of policies to give education to all sections of society, we lack in the implementation because our society is not homogeneous. There are what you call steps, there are differences, there are levels. That is, financial levels are there, social levels are there, positional levels, that is where you are, means geographical challenges are there. Then our country is divided into different states. These states have different policies. Now, actually, just I have mentioned that the right to child education 2009 has definitely changed the scenario, because before that giving education was optional to the respective states and center. But now it has become a right for a child to primary or school education, and it has changed because I came from rural area. Now I used to travel across the country. This scenario will be definitely different after 5 to 10 years because of two different things. One thing is that due to mechanization, the jobs and the manpower which was expected in the rural area, which was causing that the childs were used, they were assigned works, either if their parents are farmer, if their parents are some businessman, they used to use them in handholding the family jobs. Now, due to mechanization and all, these students are getting free time. Parents are, their mindset have been changed and they are sending their child to the schools, and that is the reason why the primary and secondary education enrollment has gone up. This is not a thing which we can remove within a span of 4, 5 years or 10 years or 15 years, depending upon, because earlier this there, but now a person which is there in rural area also pursue education with the help of technology due to DTH. These facilities have been extended, and we should not be that negative, because if you see now in the schools, the student that is boy to girl ratio has nearly around 45 to 55 or 50, reaching to equal. So Mr. Patil, with the availability of funds, with availability of different modes of education, we should be optimistic and we should be helping for developing the system that all girls, they will be getting higher education, that is college education and university education. And there are some lapses, there are some system disadvantages, because corruption is not a system drawback, it is the human tendency. It is the intervention of persons, and they are disturbing, they are going to hamper this system, these policies. I think we should develop a system to curb this. And if everything was in a good way, let us hope that which has been achieved by the Western countries will be slowly stabilized in our country as well. I'm not negative, because I came from a rural place where nothing was there. I have studied in a Jilla Parishad school, and even then I became a vice chancellor of a university. That too at a remote place in Gondwana. So it depends upon individual as well as how he is having his mindset to face the challenges, how society is helping, how school is helping, how the persons in the higher education system are handholding, supporting handhold to take higher education to the girls in the higher education. So I think I have tried to explain this in a brief.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. True.
Mr. Patil.
Understood, sir. Thank you, sir. Yes. Yes.
Any other question? Let me first admit, because this is a very vast subject, it is not going to be very clear to everybody in a lecture of 2 or 3 day or 2. One has to read, one has to go article wise, that is section wise, and then a comprehensive policy will be clear to everybody.
True, sir. True. It is 100 pages documents, of course.
This is a
sir.
challenge because
Yes,
it is
sir.
a 100-page document and it is a very abstract thing.
True.
Every point it need to be some explanation, right?
Yes, sir. Yes. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very
Sir,
much.
thank you, sir. Sir, we would like to have a photo with you. I request participants also to please start the camera. Participants, please switch on your cameras. Yes, sir. Done. Thank you so much, sir, for your time, your guidance, sharing your experience.
Thank to the organizers that being given an opportunity to have some my ideas on the National Education Policy 2020, and with you all participants.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. It is your kindness that you are thanking, but it is time for us to thank you, sir, because you gave this time to us and, of course, guided all the participants, all of us. Thank you once again, sir. Ma'am, you can.
Thank you so much. Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for conducting such an excellent session, for giving the abstract of new education policy and giving your valuable time. You have also highlighted the importance and flexibility of the newly framed national education policy and focusing on the ambitious visions and goals of the newly framed higher education policy also. So thank you once again, sir.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Can I exit now?
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank
Thank you. Thank you all the participants for being here with us. I declare that this session has ended. You can give the feedback on the link that has been shared to you in the chat box. Thank you all.